Well, hey everyone. Uh, Wayne here from Graybeards. Last we were on the rear brakes. I put new rotors and drum rotors on the Tahoe here. It's a 2006 for those that are just joining. See how it is. Now these vehicles are, in my opinion, some of the best vehicles GM ever produced. This platform. They ain't saying without their quirks, obviously. But I was just gonna. The last we left off, I discovered that the outboard brake pad was worn real far down. Real far down. Is that a word? Real far down? It was worn more than the other ones. And I will show you. Let me grab the outside one from. I already did the other side. I will show you the differences once I get it off. And I'll show you what pads I purchased. I went with an OEM style Wagner. Let's see how they go. I'll cover the tools that you probably need for this, at least the ones that I'm using, and we'll get started here. I'll get the wheel off, but I will show you you'll need a 16 millimeter. Let's show it here. I'm gonna get on this side. 16 millimeters, Craftsman. I don't know if this was one of the ones that was made. It says made in the USA or forged in the US. That's how long I've had it. Craftsman. And then you'll need I think this is a 12 millimeter. Yeah, 12 millimeter. I'll try to keep this as brief. C-clamp, some synthetic grease. Let me hold it up here. Right, synthetic caliper grease is what they call it. It works pretty good. Some, obviously, a little screwdriver to make sure you got clearance to get the stuff. This is just a little 4-inch. Again, Craftsman. I'm not sponsored or condoned. That's just what I had. I've had it for quite some time. Sometimes I probably try to use it to do more than what it's designed to. Little extension. These are the brake pads that I purchased. They're Wagner OEX. Got a weird design to them if you ask me. So you can see that. Part number is right there. Again, they'll fit many similar vehicles from GM of this era, 2006. Do your own research. Tells you what they're custom disc brake pads, blah blah blah. We'll see how they do. These were the ones that I had put on. I don't even know how many. It hasn't been that many miles. You can see they still have. Yeah, they're over halfway or around halfway, I guess, 50%. It's hard to tell. I didn't put them on. Had them put and installed at the dealer. I think we had about 100,000 miles on it. But the rear brake pads wore out quicker than the fronts for some reason. I don't know why. But anyways, but ain't nothing to it but to do it. Hopefully, if you have any questions or concerns, again, I am not a professional. I'm not ASE certified. This is just what I do. Do it at your own risk. This is just kind of a how-to, how they're on there, how to get them off kind of thing. It's just if you're thinking about doing something like this on your own, I always recommend getting a shop manual. I've done these similar brakes on vehicles of this type. They're all basically the same, and I'll kind of go over some of that. Hopefully we don't run into any trouble, but you just never know. Yeah, let's just get to it. Try to get you in here so you can see what I'm doing. Let's take a gander here. I know last time I didn't really look at this so well, so I was kind of trying to get you in there and not get in your way. We'll see how it goes. I will start by taking the wheel off. As usual, use some support equipment on your jack if you feel it. Not, do it at your own risk. Getting these little plastic caps. It's been about a week since I put the rotors on. I drove it to work a few times, no issues. Like I said, the other brake pad still had some meat on it, but it was considerably worn down compared to the inboard, inboard pad. That little noise here real quick. We'll try to get this out, get it done quick. I ain't no NASCAR pit crew, that's for sure. Now in NASCAR they just have one center nut that they zip on and off. That's a whole nother story. I don't know, NASCAR, I get it, safety and all that. People dying from accidents or getting seriously injured and ending careers. Guess that's a risk you take if you want to be in that kind of sport or do those kind of things. There is some risk, but next thing you know, they'll be, I don't know, wearing some kind of Stay Puft, some kind of marshmallow suit just to protect them. All right, let me get you in here real quick, see if I can show you what. So right here, there's a nut. It's a that's for the 12 millimeter. But this actual slide that holds everything on, it has a flat spot on it. Let me see if I can show you. It has a flat spot on it to put a wrench. That's the 16 millimeter and a 12 millimeter bolt that goes into it. A lot of times they put some red Loctite in there, so you're gonna need that. You're gonna need to hold that. There's one here, and I don't know if I can show it. There's one underneath here, right there. This little guy right here. All right, I'll get you under here, and I got a little bucket just to keep some stuff. Maybe you'll be able to see better if I put you over here. Let's see how that goes. Maybe not. Try to be able to do it. With you guys there, I don't know. I may have to move you. We shall see how it goes. All right. And this is again, you got the little, and they break loose fairly easy on this side, surprisingly. See if we can get this ratchet on here. Oops, wrong spot. Where are we at? Here. Got to feel my way in here. Just can't really get in there, and I want to block your view. All right, where is it? There we go. We're locked on there. And as they say in most everything in life, practice makes perfect. So I did the other side and run into a few issues. What are we going on here? I come off. Anyways, not a big deal. Got it. Maybe we can get this one too. Fingers. Again, I'm very blessed up here or down here in the south. We don't deal with a lot of corrosion issues like they do up north. All right, so I gotta find you a spot, kind of pry on this to get you a little clearance. You don't have to be much. You can see how this is moving. I got a little bit, but you want to make sure you got it. This is a dual piston caliper, and I'll show you that here in a minute. All right. Easy peasy. Now getting this out of here can be a bugger. Can be troublesome. Find a spot to pry, because these shoes actually stay in the vehicle. I'm just trying to make me a little clearance here. And this is the caliper. I don't know why. I had trouble last time too, getting them to release. And it was very somewhat problematic, if you will. It's just finding you a spot where you can kind of collapse some pistons. Give you some room. Put a little grunt in it. Here. See if I can get this side to collapse more. It's not going to be too cooperative. Don't look like. Anywho, if you can get it to come off, it's a lot easier. See, I can, for some reason, I always struggle with that. The bottom one. I'm sure they make a tool to help collapse these. I just don't have one readily available. And this has always worked for me in the past. There we go. Yeah, we got some room. All right. And as you can see, maybe. Let me see if you can see. All right, so you can see there's two pistons here. I'll show you. Dang it, I must have moved that camera. I'm sorry. My apologies. Anyways, always be mindful of this hose. Try not to give it too much issues. We'll collapse these real quick. I don't know if it'll be quick. Sometimes you push in one, the other one will come out. So that can be a little frustrating, I know. All right. Basically, what I do is I'll put maybe I'll back you up a little bit here. Might help with your visual. Let's see here. Let's move it up. Move you back here just a tad. All right. Hopefully you can see that. Pretty simple. You don't have to be right dead center on it. Nice, easy push. Now, if you have two calipers or C clamps, you can hold this one in place while you push the other one in. And basically, what you're doing, you're forcing the fluid that's in behind this piston and then this reservoir back to the front. And I will be changing out the brake fluid in the master cylinder. Basically, I will, before I set these brakes up, meaning push the brake pedal. Does it get all the fluid out of the old fluid out of the piston? I doubt it. Without flush, you really got to bleed the system. But I'm just one person, and I don't have one of those bleeders. I don't have one of them bleeder things because I'm poor, right? I drive a 19-year-old truck. Make sure they pushed it out a little bit. All right, so usually just make I just get an old toothbrush, clean these up, because you can clean them up and look at everything. Take a look at these boots here, around here. You want to make sure if they're not leaking anything, they're not torn, there's no issues. And this truck gets driven quite often. It varies. Depends on what mood I'm in. And I'm sure if you guys watch the channel enough, I've told you my woes about my daily 2008 Dodge Caliber still at the dealership, waiting for a transmission. Typically, I would do it myself, but it has when I bought it in 2008, it came with a lifetime powertrain warranty. So I was not going to mess with it. All right, you can replace this if you want. I'm going to, because I got a new one that came with the brakes. This helps keep these shoes down in place where they're supposed to be. It keeps them It's like an anti-rattle deal. Got these little bumps on here, and they sit in here, and it just pops out of there like so. You just pop it out. They're harder to get in than they are to get out, as you'll probably see. It goes out just like so. All right, now I'm just going to set this back in here out of the way for now. And I'll tell you, this will not take long. I'm telling you, it will not take long to do, to get these shoes on and off. Let's get you down here so you can see what I'm doing. I'll take these shoes off. There we go. So these just slide in and out of these little retainers down here. We're going to replace them as well. I found on this outside one, as you can see, you can see how much more worn down that is than this is the other side. You can see the difference, how much meat on the pad there is. It still has some of the groove there. So I'm thinking there might have been a defect either in, I'm thinking it was in the pad material, because the inboard looks pretty good. And sometimes the out will wear more than the inner. But a lot of people ask me, a couple people anyways, asked me why that was, and I didn't notice any driving issues hanging up. These can be a bugger to get out. You just gotta kind of work one side out. And then if you look at this one, it's worn even where there's no weather checking or anything like that. So if it was the caliper hanging up, I tend to think that both of them would show more signs of that. There's not a lot of heat. You know, you'll get some heat discoloration, and sometimes you get that from these. All right, next thing is replacing these little guys right here. They just snap in here. These are just retainers. I highly recommend you change them out. And they just kind of pop in and out like so. Kind of remember how they come out, because they have a way of messing with your head when you're looking at, when you go to put them back in. I'm going to tell you that. At least they do for me. I don't know about you guys, but you're probably way smarter than I am. So, and I'm sure there's somebody out there cringing at my methods and my madness. Que sera, right? All right, next step. These slide out of here. They got a little boot on there. These ones are greased very poorly, in my opinion. I'll put some caliper grease. I'll clean them up first. You can see they're kind of dry. I don't know if you can see that, how well you can see it. But I'm going to, whatever they put on there, it's real dry, right? It's got issues. It's got issues, mine. Oh, did I not bring that over here? What the heck? I grabbed the wrong can. Sorry. So keep in mind, I'm not sponsored by anybody, and any of the parts and everything, I paid for all this myself. Obviously, I am not even a small channel. I am a tiny channel. I use this O'Reilly. This is the non-chlorinated brake pads cleaner. It's brake parts cleaner, sorry. Get it at O'Reilly. So I got all the pads and everything from O'Reilly. Just put a little bit of that brake cleaner on there. Kind of cleans up You can replace these and buy new ones. Not a bad idea. These ones seem pretty good. They're not stellar, but they're pretty good. Not bad at all. Not bad. Could be worse, right? They could be all rusted and seized up in there. I've seen that. Definitely seen that in my times of doing brakes. Every brakes are different, right? If you're watching this, you're wanting to know how to do it. Well, this is my version of it. All right. Now, like I said, I showed you this earlier. This is just some caliper grease, synthetic, and brake quiet, whatever. It's just a silicone designed for the higher temperatures, I guess. So I've had this a long time. I've used it on a lot of my vehicles. Nothing crazy about it. It's nothing crazy. I even stepped on it, as you can see. Anyways, working in there, spinning around. Make sure she's good and lubricated. You don't want to, because that's what's going to allow because this will slide in and out and allow the brakes to release once you take your foot off the pedal. And if they're stuck, they're not going to do it. All right, and it don't take a ton. You don't want to get crazy with it. I kind of spin it as I put it in, work it back and forth a few times. And then boot, you kind of just work it on. It'll work it around, make sure it's on. It's key not to get any grease. One thing I want to show you. So this right here should have been making noise. This is what, when your brake pads wear down, this is what it'll ride against the rotor here. Well, in this case, in here. And it'll make that, when you hit the brakes, it goes squeak. But anyways, all right. And that, my friends, is how you take them off. We'll show you now how you put on the new parts that came with it. Like I said, they will mess you up and how they come off. This is how they go on. They're going to sit in here. Now there's a little trick to these. I'll show you here in a minute. If you don't make sure that this part here is set down in, you hear it kind of crunchy, you just want to push on it. What I like to do is take a little screwdriver down in here, and you'll see how that moved. Kind of locks it down in place, right? Because not it could rub on your rotor down here. You're going to do the same up here. If I get it on here right. Again, for some dumb reason, I will mess that up every dang time. You want to make sure they're centered, they're crunchy. You hear the crunching? Take your little screwdriver, do the same thing. Just make sure it's in place. That is that. And now you have the new pads. They only go on one way. You know what way that is, the one way? It's the way you took off the old ones. So always know which one was inside and which one was outside. Again, really, when you look at these two, the only difference is none. That's why, you know, you got to make sure you put them on correctly. And they only go on one way. Right? Squealers down. And they just, you see how easy that one went in there? I couldn't have done that if I couldn't have done that again if I was trying. And again, it's getting them to get past. This can be the bugger right here. Getting these to fit past. They're kind of a butt. Make sure we're lining up. Ouch. Poke me. Alright. You just put new brake pads on. Some people clean them. Those were pretty good. They'll clean up. They're kind of self-cleaning if you ask me. Oh, that bugger has a sharp edge. Got one more thing to do before we put the caliper back on. And that's to reinstall this crazy thing. This may take me a minute. Some days I get lucky though. If you look in here, it's kind of tapered, just like these are tapered in here. Let me see. Can you see what I'm doing? Probably not. Look, move you up a little bit. See, this is kind of tapered, You know, it's narrower up here than it is down here, right? So these go out. So when you set this in, yeah, it's kind of going to be, it's a snug fit now. It's snug. You also make sure your tabs, those little tabs there, focus, that little tab that's right below my finger that's going straight down, that they're straight down, right? And you can't, like I said, this thing can be a butt to get on. Gotta play with it. That's that way. That is that way. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. The one that's a butt is that one there. You got to make sure it is all the way down. And then you just kind of take a look at it, make sure that they're locked in on the back side, and that there's a little lip back there that little tab sits on. And there's one on this side. I'll see if I can show you. I don't know if it'll let me, because that feels kind of loose. It doesn't feel like it's locked on, and it's not. It's like it's bent the wrong way. It got bent. So what I do is I push, and then I squeeze. Push and squeeze. See, it's not doing what I want it to do. Kind of, stay in there now. I'll fix that in a minute. Can't see what I'm doing here. I'm trying to get this one to lock up in place here. Because it's like the tab is. There we go. They get a little bent, some tabs. And yeah. All right. Set that back up here for a second. Pull my boot off here for somehow. There we go. Make sure these are squeezed together. Rotor's back where it needs to be. There we go. And it just sits right in like so. Alrighty. Get one bolt started and you're good. You're good to let her hands free. Make sure we're lined up here. I know I'll get my head in your way. There we go. Good to go. All right, let's tighten her up. Hopefully you can see what I'm going to do. Get a wrench on here. There we we go. Now these are pretty small bolts, so don't go getting crazy reefing them. You'll break them. Then you got a real mess. All right, click. Torque them. If you want to look up the specs, my good friend, cousin there, Rick, commented on the last video that you can find the specs on. You can go Google them. Go to the Google, the googly Google, the googly Google. And I guess these would be the caliper slide bolts, maybe. All right, click. All right. I'm not going to bore you with putting the wheel back on and same squeeze, press the brake pedal that we covered in the last video. If you didn't catch it, it'll be, I think I'll have a link in the video to it. And yeah, again, don't be afraid to get out there and try it. What's the worst you're going to do? But again, don't skimp on the brakes and don't skimp on tires. They are probably the #1 safety devices on your vehicle, in my opinion. But you know what it goes. Well, thanks for watching. Again, hit the like button, share it with your friends. If you know someone's got one, send them the link, share it with them, and maybe they're, that they had talked about doing it, but they were not unsure. Appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great week. I'll catch you on the next one.